Joining us now to weigh in is the former Israeli special envoy for combating anti-Semitism, Noa Tishby. She is also, as you might know, the author of the book, Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. Noa, thank you for being back here on the Hill. We appreciate it. As always, it was fascinating talking to you last time. So let's pick up with where we just started. Elon Musk, he was in Israel yesterday with the prime minister. And now Hamas is saying, come on over to our side. What do you make of Elon in the Middle East?
So first of all, anybody who wants to do a mea culpa to the Jewish people and the state of Israel is wholeheartedly welcome. And that includes Elon Musk, who's obviously one of the most powerful people in the world. I'm very happy that he went there. This was a very short and intense trip. And it seems like he actually saw what was happening on the ground and was moved by it in a negative way. I got to tell you, if he was invited to Gaza, I wouldn't oppose him actually going and speaking to some Palestinians, specifically the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian leadership, because what needs to happen, and maybe Elon Musk is the person to start this, is that instead of thinking that you can make a difference in the Middle East by bashing Israel, start calling on the Palestinians to have some responsible leadership. Because what we have seen from the Palestinians, literally in the past 100 years, is engagement in rejectionism and kept saying no to anything that was on the table. Israel offered a Palestinian state over and over and over again. The question as to why there isn't one should be by now laid onto the Palestinian leadership. And maybe Elon Musk is the person to do this, being that, you know, he's one of the most powerful. He's almost as powerful as most countries in the world.
Yeah, interesting to hear you say that. Of course, one of the headlines right now, Noah, is this ceasefire and the return of hostages. I wonder what you make of it right now as we sit here, but also looking forward, what do you think comes next?
Sadly, Hamas, the terrorist organization, knows Israelis and Jews very well, and they know that we will do anything and everything to return hostages home, specifically when we're talking about not soldiers of prisoners of war, but we're talking about 10 months old Kfir, who's a baby who was handed from Hamas to the Palestinian Front of Liberation of PFLP, basically handing over a baby for ransom reasons, and God knows where he is right now. So they know that Israel will do everything to release the hostages, but I do believe it's very clear by now that Hamas has to go. So the Palestinian people cannot allow Hamas to run. The international community cannot allow Hamas to run in any elections anymore, and they need to be done with, fully done with. And that's what needs to be done. I'm very happy, and we're obviously very moved by the return of the hostages, and we will do everything we can to return every single one of them home, but Hamas needs to go.
Headline in the Hill today, Noah. U.S. warns Israel over next phase of military operation into southern Gaza. And the report goes on to say the Biden administration is issuing urgent warnings to Israel over the next phase of the military operation, saying a campaign in the south of the Strip must not be carried out to the same level of destruction as took place in the north of the territory. Do you take any issue with the White House and the Biden administration levying that warning?
Obviously, the Biden administration has been spectacular in dealing with the situation up until now. What the American people and the Biden administration needs to understand is that we're dealing with a jihadi culture that beheads people and then plays soccer with their heads, that cuts off the breasts of women after they're raping them, that calls for the destruction of the state of Israel by all means possible and slaughtering all the Jews. They are currently in Khan Yunis at the south of Gaza, hiding among civilians. I would like Biden and Blinken and everybody else to give Israel another solution on how we can actually take Hamas out. If Yahya Sinwar is willing to turn himself in, I'm sure the IDF will take him gladly.
But what is that like? How does that happen? Because he's not going to turn themselves in, and I wondered what's the next military step, right?
It's a good question, but you know, Hamas is using Palestinian people. That not only do they not care about our people, they don't care about their own people as well. This is a terrible situation that the IDF and Israel is struggling with. This is one of the worst situations. I don't think it's precedented in the world, what's happening right now, the proximity of it and the number of people that are involved. It's heartbreaking, and the world needs to understand that sadly, Hamas had sacrificed Gaza. Iran had sacrificed Gaza. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and their intent was to destabilize the entire region, which is what they are doing right now. So there are a lot of Arab countries that are invested in the dissemination of Hamas that don't want this mess. I believe that an international power needs to come into play here and actually call on them, figure something out. This is not just Israel's problem. This is the West's problem. This is the moderate Arab countries' problem. And we know this. We know this by now. It was corroborated by a New York Times article written by Dennis Ross, that the moderate leaders, Arab leaders of the region, want Hamas out as well. So we all need to figure out a way how to do this. And Israel has always tried to do this with the least amount of casualties possible. As we all know, it's exactly the opposite for Hamas.
Noa Tishby, got to leave it there. Fascinating to hear you. And come on back, please. Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.